Alright, so welcome back to Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This is several days after the first episode went live for this little mini part of our 25th anniversary Sonic retrospective. And the reason for that is because I forgot to, when I was playing Casino Night here the first time, I forgot to record. And I only realized, actually, that's not true. What happened is my recording device filled up with memory. And so I lost Stage 1 and most of Stage 2. It kind of kicks back in at the Casino Night boss. So I had to re-record that. And then, later, I had to re-record the Mystic Cave boss because I didn't have the recorder on when that was going. So, getting the second episode together was just a little bit interesting. And so you'll notice a few things about Casino Night Zone 1 and 2 that are different than the rest of the playthrough. And then, of course, you'll see some differences when we get to the end of Mystic Cave Zone as well. So the first thing that's different, you can see Tails has less lives. This is because the previous save that I had was all the way back at Chemical Plant. And I didn't really make a big deal out of trying to preserve my lives and get here. But I did decide to go through this special zone, and yeah, I'm not getting any better at these. Now, technically, this is my third special zone attempt. And this is the first time that we're actually going to get to the second part of it. But, I don't know if it's just me, but it was too easy for me to slip around the half pipe trying to do this. And so I really wasn't, I can't say I was trying all that hard. And if I had realized how quick this was going to go, I guess I could have gotten there since I was 2 rings short, but yeah, it didn't happen. So on the plus side, by playing Casino Night again, I was able to do some things differently, try to take some paths that I didn't take the first time. And Casino Night 1, for the most part, doesn't have any enemies. The only thing that's going to kill you is if you get smushed or go off the edge. The enemies don't start appearing until Casino Night 2, and even then, there are not all that many of them. So there we are, finishing Casino Night 1 with the invincibility, which of course helps a lot at the end of a level like this. And now we're ready to move on to Casino Night Act 2. Now, because Casino Night Act 2, you could see an enemy there. There's going to be several of those around the stage. Here's another one. You just need to avoid them. For the most part, they're not very fast. They only hurt you if you run straight into them. Of course, given the fact that I'm playing Sonic 2 for the first time in, geez, how many years? Let's say 23 years. And I don't really know where everything is. So I'm kind of glad that we're not having to worry about running into a bunch of enemies and stuff. When we get into the Mystic Cave Zone, you'll note, that, and I think this is true for Hilltop Zone as well, that, I do like to run into enemies blindly without knowing, and I also like to forget that I have a spin dash. very important item as far as this game's concerned. This was the game that introduced the spin dash, and it's been in every 2D Sonic game that didn't have the boost since. In 3D Sonic games, it was mostly replaced by the boost. Although there, you could still do the spin dash in the Adventure era games. And here the slot machine treats us rough. We get the 3 Eggmans, that takes away all of our rings. There's slot machines all around Casino Night Zone. Basically, Casino Night Zone is what Spring Yard Zone pretended to be, and that is it has the full-on sort of gambling themes. Mostly just the slot machine stuff, and you can sort of see some pinball influences in this level as well. In Sonic 4 Episode 2, okay, now that cut there is where I switched from the new footage I had to record to get footage of Casino Acts 1 and 2 to the previous footage I had where I was in the middle of fighting the boss. So you can see here that you want to hit Eggman, but you want to hit him on the sides of his craft. Using the bumpers, you want to avoid his little pinchers. And, oh my god, I did not know. And, so you want to hit the sides of it. You don't want to hit the... You don't want to hit right in the middle of it where that electric thing is going through. You can also try to find a weak spot when he's dropping the bombs, but you have to be careful not to hit the bombs. So it's a little bit more intricate process. Again, parts of the fight got cut out. But we got through Casino Night Zone, and since we've gotten through the casinos, it's now time to take a relaxing trip into the outdoors with Hilltop Zone. And there's the magic of pausing. Hilltop Zone has some features that will be familiar from Sonic 1 in Starlight Zone. We got some new enemies here. We're going to be avoiding a lot of lava, or not avoiding it, depending on how good we handle this. We're going to be... But here's the primary gimmick of Hilltop Zone, and that is these little guys who are basically the same things you saw in Starlight Zone in Sonic 1. So we're going to go over to the left, grab the invincibility, shoot ourselves up. And this was done to give us the high route and to kind of shrink the amount of time, the amount of danger that we run across this level. And as you can see, we were playing around a bit too much with that, trying to get to that bumper. Now, you can just go up on the little hill there and jump to the bumper from there. But no, I wasn't really interested in doing that. Had to make it look acrobatic. And so here's more of these guys in the series. Problem is, if you fall off the seesaw, you have to hit it a couple of times before you can get your altitude back. That is physics, after all. You also have these ski lifts in this level. And they eventually give out and fall down, so you gotta be careful. And this part gave me problems. And I don't know if it's because of the Mega Collection port, or if the little part where you go down into the hill was always not particularly responsive, but this is... I got stuck here for a while trying to figure out how to... and once I hit it just right, it worked. And then we ran to go get a shield over here. And there went our shield. So now we have to try to make it through here, having lost our shield. We also have the purple dinosaurs that are now enemies that can show up. They're not particularly threatening. You just may not be expecting them to show up. And then we get caught on the spikes. Amusingly, when I had to replay my other save to get through Hilltop Zone, I didn't have much trouble with those spikes. And there I played with the lava in the door a little bit to lose all my rings, because that was a good plan. Here we'll get some rings just so we can stay alive, but we finally reached the end of Hilltop Zone level 1. And now we're in Hilltop Zone Act 2. Again, Hilltop Zone, you know, I'm not really sure what the analog for it is. I think it is close to Starlight Zone as far as some of the stuff they were going for. Definitely has the more relaxed music. There we go. We killed the little dinosaur thing and then jumped too far into the lava. And so now we're in problem number 2, trying to get this thing to trigger. At least now I know how they're supposed to work based on the previous level, so I'm not concerned that I've somehow screwed up or the game is glitching out on me. I just have to keep trying, keep working at it. And there's our friends. There's our another friend from Sonic 1. They're still around, so we have our shield. We hit the checkpoint, and then we run. Now, in the first level, we had this section where you had to run laterally while the lava was rising. This section you have to run vertically. Keep climbing over. And fortunately I found an invincibility box, so I didn't have to worry about the lava if I missed the jump. And so this was a much better run of this part of the stage than the run that I made later in order to catch back up to my footage. And so now we're back into another section with the chairlifts. Now you have to be careful with the chairlifts. If you miss the certain chairlifts, there's just bottomless pits underneath them. These, I think it's just lava down there, which won't kill you, but you certainly don't want to fall. And we run out of luck trying to avoid those little critters who drop those spikes on their backs. And this brings us into the boss section. Now, the boss section for this, you can hit him about 4 or 5 times her go, just realize that you're likely going to land in the lava, and he's going to shoot fire onto the platforms to make them unusable. You also need to remember that after you kill him, you need to successfully jump back to a platform, because you still need to get over to where the animal switch is. So we end up finishing this one with no rings, instead of finishing, I guess, with one ring, if we'd been doing things right. So that takes us out of Hilltop Zone and into Mystic Cave Zone. So we've left the casino, we've gone into the surrounding hills. I guess now you could argue that we've gone into one of the hills and found this cave. Now, Mystic Cave Zone has several gimmicks that I'm not a big fan of. One is these walls that suddenly appear to spike you, because they like to do that a lot. Another thing that I'm not a particular fan in this area are these lightning bugs. You have to be careful with when and how you hit them, because if they're lit up when you try to hit them, they're actually invulnerable, which I think is not particularly fair, particularly considering some of the places they put these things. But, you know, it's just the way it works. See, here's a set of these toothed platforms trying to kill us. There are a couple things to jump up and grab in order to advance or not on the level. There's the blue handle that you can see there that you can grab onto. There's also the green vines that you can see right here. But you really got to you've got to have your character lined up with them. It seemed to me. I never really just grab it in midair like I would have preferred to. So you can see I'm trying to take the high route here. And the high route in this case gets me a couple of swinging maces. That's always fun there for swinging maces. Managed to hit that bug at the right time. And then very carefully jumping from platform to platform. And then you don't want to get hit by that because it will smush you. And then these enemies that bounce out of the wall with their extendable centipede or caterpillar bodies. Not a big fan of those either, particularly when they're placed relatively close to the end of the level. Now you've got to jump through there and be a little careful, because if you get caught, you can get smushed there. And then we just sort of walk our way to the end of the stage. And that brings us to Mystic Cave Zone Act 2. Now, Mystic Cave Zone Act 2 has got a part in it that's not particularly nice. There's a bottomless pit that you cannot get out of. Fortunately, it's got a bunch of spikes on the bottom of it, so it will kill you. And yes, over the course of playing, I did run into the bottomless pit. However, you're not going to see any footage of that here, because I know how to edit. Or at least, I know a little bit how to edit. If I knew more what I was doing, then we wouldn't be talking about this episode coming out as comparatively late as it did compared to when episode 1 came out. So now we're working our way down with our invincibility. Now it's worn off, so you got to be careful now, because if you go in the lower level, this is where that pit can be. We don't want to run into that pit. So I'm trying to be careful and not go too fast through this section. I'm using the springs and the little vines where I can. You can see the blue grab thing. Trying to get that lined up though, and then I hated this part because I really thought I'd gotten through something. Little cut there. Had a run in with the mace. And I really want that vine. Okay, I got it. Now what am I going to do with it? Again, these little elements here, the things going up, they kind of a little reminiscent of Starlight Zone in Sonic 1. And now we're bouncing backwards and forwards, because that's always fun. And now we're getting close to the end, so you're going to see another jump cut, because I make the mistake of going into the special stage here, and that's going to take away all my rings. And this little checkpoint only exists so that you don't have to play the entire level again to get to the boss. I'll also remind you that this run through the special stage is actually earlier than the last run back in Casino Night, because of when I did it versus when I was recording. So now we're going to head to the last part of Mystic Cave Zone Act 2, and here's the cut to the other save file, because again, I accidentally didn't record it the first time I beat the boss, which made the second run a little bit easier. Now you can see the problems already with this level, and it really has to do with the debris. Eggman is not as big of a deal, and I pressed pause here. Eggman is not as big of a deal comparative to the little shards of rock that come down. And we hit him several times, and of course that cost us our shield, and then cost us all of our rings. And then we got hit a couple more times, because bad things in Sonic never occur in once. They always occur in 2s or 3s. And so Tails rescues the animals, and we have cleared Mystic Cave Zone, and we are ready to branch out again with Oil Ocean Zone next time, and I'll see you then.